welcome to the deep dive. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention something kind of cool. The outline for this episode, believe it or not, was actually put together by AI. Yep. Artificial intelligence is kind of shaping the show even before we, discuss it.
Yeah.
Wild, huh? Anyway, today we're diving into, it's going to sound a little odd, a document from the Vatican. Yeah, you heard that right. The Vatican. It's all about the relationship between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. I know. You're probably thinking the Vatican, AI, right?
Yeah.
But trust me, this is a deep dive you don't want to miss.
You're absolutely right. This is a fascinating document, and it's a pretty unique perspective. It's actually titled Antiqua et Nuova, Note on the Relationship Between Artificial Intelligence and Human Intelligence. And it was just came out a few days ago, January 28th, 2025. And get this, it was released jointly by two different dicasteries, the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith and the Dicastery for Culture and Education. So that right there tells you how seriously the church is taking all of this.
Two dicasteries. Wow,
Yeah.
okay. I'm definitely intrigued now. So what's the big takeaway? What's the Vatican's main message when it comes to AI and, us?
Well, they really emphasize the need for something they call wisdom of the heart when it comes to developing AI. It's this idea that, we need more than just technical expertise. We need ethical and spiritual grounding to really understand and deal with AI and its impact on humanity.
Wisdom of the heart. I like that. It kind of suggests we need to approach AI with more than just, cold, hard logic. But before we go all philosophical on this, let's define some terms here. When the Vatican talks about AI, what are we even talking about? I mean, are we talking about robot overlords taking over the world?
Haha, no, not quite. They actually made a really clear distinction between two types of AI. Narrow AI and then artificial general intelligence, or AGI. So narrow AI is what we see every day. Think voice assistants, recommendation algorithms, even just spam filters. Those are all narrow AI. They're designed for very specific tasks.
So basically, narrow AI is really good at its job, but it's still limited in what it can do. It's not going to suddenly become sentient and start writing poetry or something.
Right, exactly. Now, AGI, that's where things get a little more theoretical. AGI is, it's hypothetical. It would be an AI that could perform any intellectual task that a human can. That's the kind of AI you see in sci-fi, capable of learning and adapting and potentially, surpassing human intelligence.
Okay, now that's where those robot overlords start to, creep into the picture. Does it address those potential dangers of AGI, like it becoming uncontrollable or even hostile?
It does mention those concerns, yeah. But it's more focused on the difference between human intelligence and AI, even AGI. They're saying that even if AI can copy a lot of what our brains do, there's something fundamentally different about human intelligence, something that goes beyond just, data processing and computation.
So what is it about human intelligence that's so unique? What sets us apart from even the most advanced AI?
Well, that's where the document gets pretty philosophical. It draws on thinkers like Aristotle and Aquinas. They argue that human intelligence, it's not just about processing information or problem solving. It's about understanding truth, appreciating beauty, forming relationships that have real meaning, and ultimately seeking a connection with, something bigger than ourselves.
I can definitely see how those qualities would be hard, maybe even impossible, to program into a machine. They're about something more than just algorithms and data. And the document mentions two specific concepts, intellectus and ratio. Can you explain those a bit?
Sure. Intellectus refers to an intuitive grasp of truth. It's like, understanding the essence of things, seeing the connections between different ideas, having those aha moments of insight. And ratio, that's more about analytical reasoning, the step-by-step process of thinking something through logically. The document argues that human intelligence is really a mix of both intellectus and ratio intuitive understanding and logical analysis.
That makes sense. It's like when you just know something's true, even if you can't quite explain it logically. It's a gut feeling, an intuition that goes beyond just reason. But then there's also that analytical side that can break down complex ideas and solve problems systematically.
Exactly. And they seem to suggest that this combination, this intuitive and analytical thinking, is really what makes human intelligence special and so difficult to recreate in a machine.
But I gotta say, with AI getting more and more advanced all the time, it feels like the lines are starting to blur a bit. I mean, some of these chatbots, they're so good you almost feel like you're talking to a real person. Does the Vatican, do they address this blurring of the lines between humans and machines?
They do, and they're definitely cautious about it. They recognize that AI can simulate human interaction in pretty sophisticated ways, but they emphasize how important genuine human connection really is. We shouldn't let technology become a substitute for real relationships, for those face-to-face interactions, for all those shared experiences that make us human.
So it's not about rejecting AI completely. It's more about understanding its limits and making sure it doesn't come at the expense of, well, our humanity.
Exactly. The document seems to be suggesting that AI can be a really powerful tool for good, but we have to use it wisely, intentionally, always remembering the importance of human dignity and all the things that make us unique.
It's really interesting how this document encourages us to look beyond those usual talking points about AI. The job losses or economic efficiency and all that. It really gets us thinking about the deeper stuff,
Yeah.
the human stuff, even the spiritual side of things. And speaking of which, one area where AI seems to be having a huge impact is healthcare. We're seeing AI-powered diagnostics and personalized medicine. We're even seeing robotic surgery now. What does the Vatican document have to say about all that? What's their take on the role of AI in healthcare?
They do see a lot of potential for AI to revolutionize healthcare. And in a lot of positive ways, too. They point to the possibility of more accurate diagnoses, treatments that are more effective, and even greater access to quality care, especially for folks in underserved communities. But they also stress that human dignity has to be at the center of it all. They're cautioning against leaning too heavily on AI to the point where it dehumanizes the patient experience.
Yeah, you're right. There's always that risk of losing that personal touch,
Yeah.
especially in a field like healthcare. I mean, it's one thing to have an algorithm spit out a treatment plan. It's another thing entirely to feel like you're just, I don't know, a data point in some system.
Mm.
Does the document offer any guidance on, like, navigating those ethical challenges?
Well, they encourage a balanced approach. They say AI can be powerful, for sure, but it should never replace that human element in healthcare. They caution against using AI for things like making life or death decisions, or, deciding who gets treatment based just on algorithms or cost. At the end of the day, the document really focuses on human judgment and compassion, and recognizing that inherent dignity in every patient.
I totally get that. There's something about healthcare that needs empathy, understanding, qualities that, at least for now, AI can't quite replicate. It makes me think about another area where AI is making waves. Education. We're seeing AI tutors now and these personalized learning platforms, all these tools to enhance learning. What's the Vatican's view on AI in education?
They do acknowledge the potential benefits, especially the ability to personalize learning, provide support for each student, and even give more people access to educational resources, especially in remote areas. But they do bring up some concerns as well.
Like what? What are some of the potential downsides they see?
Well, one worry is that relying too much on AI-driven education could actually hurt critical thinking skills and also creativity and even those essential social and emotional skills. The document stresses how important human interaction is and mentorship, that teacher-student relationship. Those are all fundamental to a well-rounded education.
It seems like a recurring theme, right? This need for balance, making sure technology is there to serve human needs, not to replace us or take away those essential qualities that make us human.
You got it. It's not about saying no to technology altogether. It's about using it thoughtfully, intentionally, making sure it supports human flourishing. And that's true not just for healthcare and education, but for, pretty much every aspect of life in this digital age.
And speaking of the digital age, one area where AI has really become, I don't know, prominent and maybe even problematic is in how we get information and communicate. We see AI generating content, spreading information, even influencing public opinion. And with deepfakes and all these other ways to create AI-generated misinformation, it's getting hard to tell what's real and what's fake. How does the Vatican document address all that?
They are very concerned about the potential for AI to spread misinformation, to manipulate people, and really damage trust in institutions and even individuals. They're calling for a renewed focus on truth and transparency and ethical content creation in this digital age.
It's almost like they're calling for a kind of like digital ethics, some guidelines to help us navigate this online world.
Yeah, you could say that. The document really emphasizes that technology should be used for good, not to deceive or manipulate or just sow chaos. It calls for a joint effort to fight the spread of misinformation and to promote a culture of truth and accountability online. They even go further, raising concerns about AI-powered surveillance and how that can erode privacy and individual freedoms.
It's interesting how they connect AI to these bigger social and political issues. It's not just about the tech itself, it's about how it's used and the consequences for individuals, for society.
Absolutely. They're making it clear that technology is never neutral. It reflects the values and the goals of the people who make it and use it. And the document seems to suggest we have a responsibility to make sure AI is used in a way that promotes human dignity, justice, the common good.
That message really resonates, I think, especially for those of us who are, trying to make sense of this rapid technological change and how it's affecting us.
I agree. And the document doesn't shy away from those bigger, deeper philosophical questions that AI brings up. For example, they talk about AI and our relationship with God.
Now, that's not something you hear every day. What's the Vatican's take on that? Does AI threaten our faith, our understanding of the divine?
They're very clear that we shouldn't see AI as some kind of replacement for God or give it any sort of divine status. They emphasize that AI is a tool created by humans, not some superhuman entity. And they reaffirm the belief that real fulfillment, real meaning comes from our relationship with God, not from the things we create.
It's like a reminder to stay focused on what truly matters, to realize that technology, even amazing advanced technology, is a means to an end.
Exactly. They're saying our relationship with God should guide how we use technology, not the other way around. And they call for humility in the face of all these advancements, reminding us that there are limits to what we can create and control.
It's fascinating how they tie all this together. The technology, the ethics, the spirituality. It's a good reminder that these things are all connected, that our technological progress, our moral and spiritual values, they can't be separated.
I think that's one of the most important things about this document. It's not just a technical manual about AI. It's a reflection on what it means to be human in a world that's increasingly shaped by technology. It's a call to approach all this with wisdom, with careful judgment, and a deep understanding of our own humanity.
And I'm struck by how the document manages to be cautious and hopeful at the same time. They acknowledge the risks of AI, but they also point to the potential benefits.
It's a balanced perspective, and I think it's something we really need in these discussions about AI, which can get pretty heated. It reminds us that we have choices about how we shape the future of technology. We can choose to use it to build a world that's more just, more compassionate, a world that's more in line with our values.
That's a powerful message, one that deserves some real thought. This deep dive has been incredibly insightful. The Vatican document gives us this unique perspective on the relationship between AI and human intelligence, reminding us that technology always carries values and that we have a responsibility to guide its development in a way that serves everyone. Before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more area where AI is having a major impact on our personal lives.
That's true. AI isn't just in labs or science fiction anymore. It's becoming more and more a part of our everyday lives. Everything from how we talk to each other to how we shop, even how we build relationships.
Exactly. We're seeing virtual assistants, personalized recommendations, even dating apps that use AI. While these technologies can be really convenient, even offer a sense of connection, they also raise some questions about, privacy, our own decision-making, and the very nature of human relationships. What's the Vatican's take on AI's impact on our personal lives? So we're back, and we've been talking about the Vatican's view on AI. It's clear they want us to think beyond just the practical side of things. But let's face it, those practical implications are huge. We were just discussing how AI affects our personal lives, things like healthcare apps, algorithms on social media, even dating apps using AI. Does the document actually get into any specific concerns about these everyday uses?
Oh yeah, definitely. One of the biggest worries they bring up is privacy. We're constantly surrounded by devices that collect data on us. And then AI can take all that data and create these incredibly detailed profiles. They can see our habits, our preferences, even, try to figure out what we're thinking. The document argues that all this data collection and analysis, it can be super intrusive. And even worse, it could be used to manipulate or even control people.
Yeah, it can be pretty creepy. That feeling that you're constantly being watched, like every move is tracked and analyzed. It's like living in a digital panopticon or something. Does the document suggest anything we can do to protect privacy in this, data-driven world?
They really push for transparency and accountability. Like, how are these AI systems collecting our data? How are they using it? And they emphasize the need for strong laws to protect our privacy rights and prevent our personal information from being misused.
So it's not about ditching AI completely. It's more about making sure it's developed and used in a way that respects basic human rights.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance,
Yeah.
right? AI can offer amazing benefits, but we can't just ignore the risks. We got to take steps to minimize them.
It's really interesting how they connect those technological concerns to bigger ethical and philosophical questions.
Yeah.
It's not just about how AI works, but about what it means for human dignity, for freedom, for our understanding of, well, what makes us human?
You hit the nail on the head. They're asking us to think about what kind of future we're building with AI. Do we want technology that helps people? Or technology that controls them? AI that makes our lives better? Or AI that takes away our choices and sense of self?
That's a big question. And it's not one that engineers can answer on their own. It's a conversation for all of us, really. Ethicists, philosophers, policymakers, and just everyday people. Everyone whose life will be touched by these advances.
I completely agree. This isn't just some theoretical debate. This is about shaping the future. And this Vatican document, it gives us a really valuable framework for having that conversation.
Well, this deep dive has given me a lot to think about. It's clear that the Vatican is paying attention to AI. And I think their perspective is really important in this whole conversation about the role of technology in our lives. They're not just asking us to be amazed by what AI can do. They're pushing us to grapple with the big questions it raises about what it means to be human, about our values, and about our future.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It reminds us that technology is never neutral. It always reflects the values of those who create it and use it. So it really comes down to us. What kind of future do we want to build with AI?
That's a great question to leave us with. As we keep exploring this incredible world of AI, let's keep in mind what the Vatican is saying. Let's be wise, make thoughtful choices, and always remember the importance of human dignity. Let's use AI to make our lives better, not to diminish them. And let's make sure technology serves humanity, not the other way around. That's all for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.